Hi, I'm Rabbi Yoel Glick. The Baal Shem Tov says, you are where your thoughts are. Right now, keep your thoughts right here with Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here in Chicago, Illinois, with someone from Israel, from France, from Canada. He has been around the world, and he's here today, Rabbi Yoel Glick. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Baruch haba. I'm so glad to have you on. Now, your son is now a rabbi in the Chicago area, and you're here in Chicago lecturing and teaching.
Yeah.
And your new book is just recently out called Walking the Path of the Jewish Mystic, How to Expand Your Awareness and Transform Your Life. Rabbi Yoel Glick, you're an author, you're a teacher of Kaballah, of mysticism, of meditation. Tell me, first of all, how does a young guy like you, because you are a young guy, you told me before we went on the show that, you know, it's been decades you've been studying Kabbalah. How does someone so young start studying Kabbalah, which is unusual for a YU graduate, someone who got smicha from YU, Yeshiva University, someone with an Orthodox background? They don't usually start learning Kabbalah at such a young age. How did you get into it so young?
So, first of all, I was also very close to Rav Shlomo Karlibach, and that took me into Chassidut. And Shlomo was really, I think people don't know enough about this side of him, they know about his music.
Sure.
But he also was studying Chassidut day and night. He was never without a sefer, and I became in the habit of being never without a sefer. And therefore I was always learning. In fact, when I was at YU, I used to learn Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Natan, his disciple, as I was going on the IRT. We lived on the Upper West Side, up to YU in Washington Heights, and every day I'd be sitting there with Rabbi Nachman, learning Chassidus, profound Chassidus, and they deal with a lot of Kabbalah, and that was like my first taste into Kabbalah. And then when I moved to the Old City, I got interested in studying Kabbalah, and I started to go to the different teachers around.
So there are a couple of people in Chicago who are considered to be like great scholars of Rabbi Nachman teaching. What hooked you into these mystical teachings? And I've sat and learned with them many times, and they're so hard to really follow. The different spheres of the universe and those thoughts that go along with it, which are very esoterical and hard to understand. How did you lock into it that made it so interesting to you at a young age?
So to begin with, there was, I think, two different elements that made this happen. One is Rav Shlomo was very good at taking complex ideas and simplifying them. And so he took a lot of these complex ideas and made them simple expressions of human relations and of basic concepts in the way we live in the world. And that allowed me to have an initial access to them. The second part that was really important for me at the time is I was really seeking. I was seeking for answers to the deeper questions of life. I'd gone through, when I was 20, my mother passed away, and that caused an upheaval in my entire family. One of the things it did is make me want to go into these deeper teachings, find answers to questions that suddenly became urgent. And therefore I started going into Chassidut, started to go into Kaballah. And then as I started to learn about meditation, it was really meditation that enabled me to understand these teachings at a whole other level. Because the meditation takes you into the realm of experience. And in the realm of inner experience is where these teachings come alive. Where they stop being just simply philosophical ideas and become living realities. And that was the reason that I was drawn to these teachings and the manner in which they became for me living truths rather than simply abstract concepts. And therefore my continued study and practice was constantly connected with the meditation and inner experience. And I believe that's where those teachings initially come from. According to the tradition, for instance, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar. He spent many years living in a cave, buried up to his neck in sand, meditating. And it was out of those experiences that he wrote the Zohar. And even if many scholars today don't believe that he actually wrote it, it's someone like him that had those kinds of experiences. The Ari, according to his traditional biography, spent 7 years living in a hut on the Nile, meditating in solitude. And it's only then he began to present his teachings. So the meditative inner experience becomes the basis out of which the Kabbalistic teachings arise. It's the inner experience of the oneness of being and of the great light and compassion of God that they experience that then translates in their understanding of the Kabbalah. And also the difference, the wide gap between that world and the world they come back to, and trying to explain that gap, that becomes an important part of the nature of their teaching. And so the Ari talks about Shvirat HaKelim and the breaking of the vessels, because he realized this world is incomplete and broken. And looking at how does that world of oneness and light and perfection become this world, and how do we take this world of incompleteness and disharmony and return it back to that sense of perfection, harmony, and oneness.
A lot of people learn from you through your organization, Daat Eylon, and you go around lecturing and teaching classes. Do you feel that Kaballah is catching on because of the famous people in the world, people like Madonna, who everybody knows studies Kaballah? Do you think that these non-Jewish people and other people who are looking for spirituality that are turning to Kaballah have made it more popular in your realm of teaching?
I don't think so much. I think in my realm of teaching, I think it's because people are looking for deeper meaning. I think that, we go in cycles. In the 60s, there was this sort of sense of seeking and looking for something more, and then we went into the very material 70s, 80s, 90s. And now, especially as the economies are doing so well, the sense of material wealth is more in question. People are asking and looking and searching for something more. And they're returning back to that seeking of truth within, of peace within. They understand that these outward acquisitions aren't going to be enough to give them the kind of contentment and well-being that they need, and they have to find that well-being from spiritual teaching, from a religious life, from making a connection to God and to their own soul.
So this is your
Third.
This is your third book. Your third book. So, but your other books are also on spirituality, Kabbalah,
Yeah,
and meditation. Am I
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
So let me see. I have information here about your other books: Living the Life of Jewish Meditation: A Comprehensive Guide to Practice and Experience, and Seeking the Divine Presence: The Three Pillars of Jewish Spiritual Life. Those are your two other books.
Yes.
And of course, this new book, Walking the Path of the Jewish Mystic. Tell me, what's the difference between your books? Like, if somebody wants to look at your first two books and then come to this, your third book, it's your third book about Jewish spirituality, mysticism, about meditation. Are we moving on into further teaching? Are we finding different things to teach about? Tell me.
Well, I think it is really there's a series of books, and there'll be 2 or 3 others, one on contemplative prayer, one on self-transformation, one on the life of service, and one on universal vision. And those will all be books, and all of them together create a whole way of living that takes us into that space called Daat Eylon, which is the name of my organization, into a higher consciousness, a higher knowledge, where we are living our life from a place of deeper awareness, of fuller presence, and of greater contentment and well-being.
Do you find that your audience, your pupils, your readers, do you find them to be Orthodox Jews, or Jews seeking more spirituality, or non-Jews and Jews who have no connection looking for a connection? Where do you
all,
think the
all
span
of the
is?
above. I think I go, it's anyone, really, all the different people that are looking for ways to give deeper meaning to their practice and their life, whether it's as a non-Jew looking for deeper meaning and seeing in the teachings of Kaballah a wisdom that opens up even their own religion for them, or people that are Orthodox and have been doing mitzvot and learning Torah all their life, but it hasn't been alive and full of meaning, hasn't made God feel more real to them and tangible, and they want something that'll take that to them. And then there's the natural seekers, that's all they really care about, and they're looking for someone that will speak that language. People that have been to the East, for instance, and either came from a Jewish path and want to go back to it, or suddenly are discovering that they are Jewish and that's really what they want to know about, but they want to find a path that resonates with the same kind of depth and seriousness about God and the spiritual life within Judaism. And these are all the different kinds of people I talk with.
So you mentioned to me earlier that you actually delve into connections between Eastern teachings and Jewish teachings and kind of put them together and make a connection for them. Do you feel that that you bring and connect to people who have gone looking at the Baha'is and so on and so forth, and they found that, you know, your Jewish mysticism really does connect to what they were looking for and bringing them back to their Judaism?
That's actually, I mean, one of the very important parts of my work, and it's part of how I ended up in the East, partially. Partially it was my own personal search for deeper connection, understanding they had knowledge about that path that was harder to get at, less accessible in Judaism. And secondly, that this was a door back for many people that were seeking the same thing and not finding it in Judaism. And so, for instance, let me give you an example. There's a teaching from a 19th century Indian saint called Ramakrishna. He says, how do you live? One of his disciples came to him, one of his devotees, and said, how do I live in the world and still keep my mind in God? So he says, imagine that you're a maidservant in a rich man's house, and you're taking care of his house and taking care of his children. And you will, on one hand, this maidservant would be calling his children my Rama, my Krishna, which is the different names of the children, as if they were own, and doing all the housework as if it's their house. But all the time she knows that, in fact, they're not her kids. This isn't her house. Her real house is back in her village where her own kids are. And even though she's doing all this work, one part of her mind is back in her village. And that's how you live in the world, while keeping one part of your mind remembering that you're supposed to be with God. Well, the Baal Shem Tov has a very similar teaching. He says you should walk into the world. It says, Min HaMikdash al Tetzeu, that the priest is not supposed to come out of the Mishkan or the Beis HaMikdash. You're supposed to be there. And he says, what does that mean? It means you're supposed to walk in the world as if you're all the time within the Beis HaMikdash. You're all of the time in God's presence. He says it should be like someone who's out on a journey and he's doing all the work he has to, and he's going to visit different places, but all the time in his mind he's thinking, when am I going to get back home? When will I see my wife and children again? That's how we walk in the world. So there you have two teachings, identical imageries and metaphors, trying to tell us how we can be in the world and also in God's presence.
So let me bring up a beautiful Jewish teaching that you remind me of, and that is, every day, the 3 times a day that we pray in Judaism, Shachrit, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, that each time we say the Shemona Esrei, the Amidah, we are supposed to teletransport ourselves into the Beit HaMikdash. Yeah. That we are standing in God's presence, the Shekhinah, that God's presence is with us, and we teleport ourselves. On Yom Kippur, we teleport the Beit HaMikdash to us. Beautiful. To where we are, yes. To where we are. So you're saying that at all times, not just when you're praying, at all times, that this philosophy in Jewish mysticism and meditation is that at all times we have one foot there while we're here.
Absolutely, and that we're in essence simultaneously in both places, and that you're living like another example. They talk about the music. So you might have in a piece of music one note that's in the background all the time, a theme that keeps coming in, and then it goes off into different directions, and it has harmonies and other bits coming up and another thing, but that theme keeps coming back. That theme's coming back, and so no matter what else is happening in music, that theme is there. And so in the same way, this theme of, yes, God's there, God's presence, keeping my mind looking towards the infinite is always in my mind, despite whatever else is happening. It's the background music amid all the other melodies that are flowing through my life.
Very interesting. We're here on Taped. We're here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. I'm here with Rabbi Yoel Glick. We're talking about his new book, Walking the Path of the Jewish Mystic. And you were going to say, in response to what you just said, you were going to add something else.
I was just going to add that we say, Shiviti Hashem l'negdi tamid.
Right.
And it really means to have put God before you, in front of you, to feel God's there all the time. And so this is about how you walk through life feeling God's there, right? We said that it says in a couple of weeks ago in Lech Lecha that Abraham walked in front of God. God was walking beside him at all times. Well, that's how we're supposed to walk through life, feeling God is beside us at all times.
Amazing, amazing. Well, Rabbi Glick is with me. We're going to talk more. Stay with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. We'll be right back.
Once they've outgrown their toddler seat, they're still not ready for adult safety belts alone. 4'9" is the magic number. Until then, kids need a booster seat. Visit boosterseat.gov.
I'm Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Welcome back. We're here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. I'm here with Rabbi Yoel Glick. He is the author of Walking the Path of the Jewish Mystic, How to Expand Your Awareness and Transform Your Life. And he teaches, he studies, and he explains the Jewish connection to mysticism, Kaballah, to meditation, and how to bring them into your life Jewishly. And I want to ask you, when you say that you earlier mentioned that you experienced and studied Eastern cultures and beliefs and so on, do you find when you say I've learned from this and connected to Judaism and Kabbalah in this way, are there people that come along and say, well, that's sacrilegious? You can't connect a paganistic, what some people might call a paganistic religion, or a non-monotheistic religion, and their beliefs or their sayings to Judaism. How can you do something like that? It's sacrilegious. How do you answer them?
So, I get both ends. I get some people that are very upset. They're saying, how can you possibly make any connections? It's treif, it's avodah zarah. And, what I say to them really is that if you would speak to a modern Hindu and tell him that he's bowing down to wood and stone, he would laugh at you, because he knows very well that's not what his religion's about. A modern Hindu understands that there's only one God, and whatever these deities are that they have are only symbols of something that's behind, something more profound. And they're really very much a monotheistic religion, and if you look at the ancient tradition or the highest tradition, they believe there's nothing but God. There's only the one God and nothing else exists. So in some ways they're even more monotheistic than we are. But even putting that aside, I think the thing is to understand is that this day it's important to be able to learn from everywhere. And that the people of faith need to work together, because faith is under attack. And we need to work together to help each other and bring more faith into the world, bring God into people's lives, because the whole world is in desperate need of some spiritual sustenance. There's desperate need of a sense of our common humanity, that we're all made b'Tselem Elokim. And
in the image of God.
In the image of God. And we will only arrive at a capacity to have peace, to live together in harmony, when we relate to each other as souls and not as personalities, because personalities will fight to the end of time. But if we can, through our religious contacts and interconnectedness, recognize a common humanity and a common divinity, then I think we really can move into a new era where all of humanity learns to live together.
You sound like your Chassidut is bringing you into the Messianic era, that if we can all do this, the Mashiach will come and the Messiah will be here.
So, there's a teaching that if we kept 2 Shabbases, the world Mashiach would come. And what I think that really means, what's Shabbat about? Shabbat is really a day of being in the presence of God, in peace and harmony and study and oneness and recognizing the beauty in the world, recognizing the beauty in my family. And if I can do that for a whole week, from one Shabbat to the next without a break, the world will just simply be a different place and Mashiach will be here. So that's the place we need to go to. We need to go to a place where we're living in that state of consciousness, where we're focused within our own, centered within our own being, and from that place being able to relate to everyone with an open heart and an open mind.
Interesting. So let me go back to something you said near the beginning of the show, and you brought up, when I think of Jewish meditation and mysticism, the first person that comes to my mind is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He lived in the cave for 13 years. He and his son, and he was buried in sand up to his neck, and he learned to be so spiritual and his mind so strong that he was able to set fire by focusing his eyes. He lived on cherubs. Children came to visit him secretly to study with him, as we know the legend goes. That's what I think of. Do you feel that meditation is something that people could learn? Do you feel that meditation would make a difference in my life and other people's lives without the mysticism? Because or are they connected? People say, I meditate. Well, generally when I think of someone meditating, we're not thinking of the hum. I'm thinking of people sitting and either staring or closing their eyes and just being in a serene, quiet area, thinking. I'm not sure what they're thinking about when they're meditating. Where do we go from there? How does that build into our lives? And that's really, as the expert on meditation and mysticism, I'd like to know.
Well, I think the thing to understand is that I can firstly stand witness. Meditation totally transformed my life. Everything about the way I live in the world. If you'd met me before I meditated, I'd be the last person you'd ever think would be a meditator. I couldn't sit still for 2 minutes. And allowed me to learn how to be quiet and still within myself. It allowed me to be more reflective in everything I do. It allowed me to be able to hear and listen and relate to people. Most of us, we talk to another person, we don't see the person that's there, we don't hear what they're saying, and no encounter really ever happens. I'm just there in my own head. What meditation does is allows you to be centered in the core of your own being. And when you're centered in the core of your being, then you're present, then you're fully aware. And then you see another person, and you're not just seeing an external face and features, you're feeling the presence of the soul that's there. You're hearing their heart speaking to you, and you're relating from that depth of being. And that's what meditation does for you. It changes, and it makes you more present because our emotions get in our way, so we can't hear. We're in a turmoil, we can't think straight. Meditation calms your emotions. Meditation helps you be totally focused so that everything you do is done with mindfulness and care, so that your heart's still, so you can even know what you're thinking and figure out and be the master of what you want to do with your life. So meditation is a tool for putting us in touch, first and foremost, with ourselves. Once you're in touch with yourself, then you begin touch with God. The Baal Shem Tov says, he brings a teaching that says in the Zohar that one of God's names is Shalom and Menucha. He says, if God's peace and restfulness, why is the world so restless? And he says, because we're lost touch with ourselves. And if we can get back in touch with ourselves, then we'll become peaceful and at rest again. And calm and content with ourselves and our lives. And meditation is a way to take us to that place. It says in the Tanakh that Eliyahu went up Mahar Sinai and he sat there in a cave and there was a wind, but God wasn't in the wind. And there was an earthquake, and God wasn't in an earthquake. And then there was fire, and God wasn't in the fire. But then there was a still, small voice. And that's where he met God, in the quiet and in the stillness. And that's what meditation is.
Wow. Wow, wow. So let me ask you a question. I guess that we all live in turmoil. We're all worried about paying our bills, making a living, worrying about our children, worrying about those who are married, worrying about their married lives, their relationship with their spouse, with their partner, and life becomes a lot of fighting in the house over bills and over this and over that, and then someone dies in a family and turmoil builds beyond because there's the emotional breakdown that goes with it. Do you think that meditation and spirituality can, from one person, can rub off on the other person to help them
Definitely. I
in
think
that type of relationship and that type of turmoil?
I think that the whole nature of the way, because meditation from a Jewish point of view isn't just about quietness or stillness or mind control, it's about putting you in touch with your soul. And when you put yourself in touch with your soul, you're putting yourself in touch with the power of God. You're putting yourself with the power of the infinite. And then that power can flow through you and flow through you into the world.
Amazing. Just absolutely amazing. I got to tell you, your experiences go from living in Canada, living in New York, living in the south of France, and living in Israel for so many years, and you've been all over the world. You've lectured all over the world. Where do you find the most spirituality?
In here. It's a place within myself. And the truth is that, look, I love Eretz Yisrael, and the Holy Land is the Holy Land. It's Eretz Kodesh. And if sometimes you have to dig deep to touch it, but it's alive with the presence of God. It's alive with the Avot and Imahot that walk there, and the Nevi'im, and just the Beis HaMikdash was there, and that is still present. That power is still present. That sense of God's blessing is still present. If we can then know how to go inward and find that place. It says that when Yaakov was running away from Esav, it says, "Vayifka b'makom." He touched the place, and Chazal say, "Ein pigia el tefillah." Pigia, touching means that it's prayer, and what it means, he was in this desperate place. He's running away from his brother who wants to kill him, and he's going deep inward to that place inside himself, and it's in that place that's inside himself that he has the vision of the ladder reaching to heaven. And then wakes up in the morning and he says, "Mandara makom hazeh," how awesome is this place? This is the house of God and the gateway to heaven. And that was not a physical place, it was a place within himself.
Beautiful.
So once he touched that place, then he could find it wherever he was. But then also at the same time, he knew where the Beis HaMikdash was. He knew where Har HaBayit was.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Rabbi Yoel Glick, author of Walking the Path of the Jewish Mystic, How to Expand Your Awareness and Transform Your Life. If you want more information or to email Rabbi Glick, send us an email at info@tvrabbi.com. I will forward him the email, and I know he'll get back to you personally. If you want to see the show or other former shows on the web, www.tvrabbi.com is the website. I want to thank you all for being with us. I want to thank you for being with us, Rabbi
Thank you, Doug,
Glick.
for having
Much
me.
success, and hope to see you next time right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.